Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. I'm, of course, the Battle Room, and today I am joined by my co-host and good friend, Raghav. How you doing today, buddy?
Honestly, Colin, I'm just so grateful to be back here. I had the craziest morning. I was on my way to work and I got taken into an unmarked van. And they told me I could only get out if I studied every aspect of the metagame. And guess what, guys? I'm here and I'm here to share that information with you all.
So today we're going to break down the current metagame after 1 week of having champions. I feel like it's a good time. I feel like there's been a lot of trends. We've seen a lot of adjustments, players whipping out their best teams, and we're here to cover that. So first things first, we're gonna cover the usage stats. I think knowing which Pokemon are the best and how to use them the best is important. So let's hop into this. Sneasler is number one. How are we feeling about that?
It's honestly not very surprising. We're gonna go into the other Pokemon after it that makes it like so good. It just has the best partners too. But Sneasler's so good because of Unburden and White Herb, I feel. There are Focus Sash sets running around, but White Herb on 77% of them. That's actually insane. It's so nice because the only way to slow Sneasler down is Intimidate, but then what? You don't get Intimidate, and you just gave it a 2 times speed boost. The other thing that Sneasler really so there people got confused there. Come on, it's not their fault.
It
The
wouldn't be
other
my.
thing
I got confused too when we were building a replica.
that's actually true. The other thing that Sneasler really has going for it is close combat being so strong into both Incineroar and King Gambit, and then Dire Claw. It doesn't even need its previous 30%. Oh, sorry, was it 50%, right?
Yeah, it used to be 50%. It is now currently 30%.
Yeah, it doesn't even need its 50% anymore. It's just such a strong move into all these Mega Floettes running around.
Very true. And also, like, if you look at the stats or the move usage, like, a lot of them are just running Fake Out Protect. Like, it really just needs the stabs, like you mentioned. Obviously, White Herb's incredible. It's pretty safe to assume it's going to be White Herb. I think it's also, like, Sash is just such a hard item. Like, it's one of the, it's probably, dare I say, the best item in the game, like, close to it. So, like, putting Sash on Sneasler, like, I feel like it kind of sucks. Whereas, like, if you put White Herb, that means you have a Sash on someone else, and you're feeling really good.
Yeah, and White Herb feels like it's an item made for Sneasler. Like,
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
putting it on a lot of other Pokemon. You might put it on your Garchomp, but it's mostly on Sneasler just because it has that dual use. It's not just getting rid of the Intimidate, it's getting rid of your close combat drops, and you use your item Unburden is procced. Sneasler's just in such a cool place in the metagame. I feel like it's not gonna go anywhere. It's the premier fighting type Pokemon, and I think it's just so hard to beat King Gambit when you don't have a fighting type on your team.
I think the thing is too is like you said, there's not a lot of other fighting types really in the game, and also there's
Yeah.
not a lot of poison types either. So it just kind of has this awesome typing that it really can fit on any team. I mean, we see oh shit, I went back. We see like Charizard here, we see Cindy, we see Floette. We have two Megas in here, but also just like Garchomp, Instant, just like really good filler Pokemon that you see on a lot of teams. Sneasler just kind of joins them as one of the big three.
Yeah, I
Jolly.
mean, Caesar can fit on pretty much anything.
And obviously, when it comes to training the Sneasers, it's just max speed, max attack. And then, like you said, Unburden is everywhere. But yeah, Sneaser's just goated. It's just one of the best Pokemon. Super splashable, super good. But you know who's even more splashable, dare I say, is Incineroar. Number two. Kind of surprising that it's number two and not number one.
I think this is a format where you don't need it on your team because there's
Yeah.
also so much Defiant and competitive,
Yeah.
mostly Defiant running around. Sometimes you don't need it on your team. Whereas Sneasler, the offensive coverage is just so useful. Incineroar only ever so slightly less, essential. It is still number 2 in usage, and I mean, what else are you expecting? It's gonna be running Fake Out, Parting Shot, and Flare Blitz every single time. And then we have a little bit of a battle between Darkest Lariat and Throat Chop. Now, Lariat is more common, but how do you feel about that? Because I think I like Throat Chop more.
I think the five base power, right? Because it's oh shit, it's literally
Yes,
just
it is
five.
5.
It's five base power. I think ignoring defense boost is like kind of neat, but I don't think it comes up as much as like potentially stopping enemy parting shots. I just don't think it's gotten to that level where it's like it just feels like third drop's just better in every way. Like I'll trade five base power to stop a parting shot. It just seems so worth it.
I mean, that's exactly how I feel. Because even the things that you're maybe ignoring the defense drops, defense like buffs.
Mhm.
Let's say Corviknight clicks Iron Defense. Yeah, that Lariat's really not doing that much to it anyway. So I feel like Throat Chop just being able to stop opposing Insins or whatever sound moves are running around, whether it's Hyper Voice or Pear Song or something Snarl. I think it's just a little bit better. But in Incineroar, it's never too complicated in its moveset. It's a Swiss Army knife, right?
It really is, yeah. And I think it shows in the items, right? Like, obviously, Citrus Berry is the premier item, but it really can kind of run whatever. Tropical Berry is good, too, obviously, for those fighting moves for Sneasler. Shucca Berry for ground moves, and then Leftovers if Citrus Berry's on something else.
I think Lefties is a little troll. I think you definitely just run one of the first three. Lum, I actually understand. There is no safety goggles anymore. So if you want to play, you want an answer for Venusaur or something, I definitely understand putting Lumberry on your Incineroar. Ideally, though, you just run that Citrus Berry, and it does what it needs to.
And like we mentioned, he's very versatile, so his teammates are going to be like the big guys here. Sneasler, double fake out teams are good. Garchomp, it makes sense. He's one of the best Pokemon. Cinny, Incin, Floette creates such... Incin, Cinny plus any Mega creates a Juggernaut. Like, it's just so hard to take them out, so that makes sense. King Game is kind of funny at 4, but at the same time, it just makes sense. Like, Double Dark is totally fine.
It's just Incin, so it can really fit with pretty much anything. And the Double Dark is whatever, especially if one of them has a Chople Berry or Shucca Berry.
And I think it's just, otherwise it's just like the most used Pokemon, right? Like Floette, Charizard, Aerodactyl are all just very popular, so it makes sense that he is there. And then a lot of times they are running more defensive Incins. I mean, for the most part, you're seeing a lot of bulk. The spreads.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool that we have the spreads, right? Like, I feel like that's something that's really been missing in a lot of these previous games is having access to how these Pokemon are trained. I honestly really understand why everyone's going careful for the most part because Floette is such a problem. If you don't have the right EV spread, you're just going to get nuked.
Yeah, and I think like you can see that careful, and then there's the Impish one. Those are really just the big three, and it kind of makes up most of the Incineroars. But yeah, Incineroar, obviously God, obviously is very, very good. Almost on any team, can help any setup strategy shine. And then we have Garchomp, the king of the low-powered format.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have Landorus anymore. It's Garchomp's time, right?
It's time.
And notably, it's strong into the two Pokemon above it. There's no grassy terrain. Earthquake is back, baby, and we see that. We don't even need Stomping Tantrum. It's 5th in usage.
Yeah, I mean, Rock Slide having 82% is kind of wild. We were talking about it before the video about how it feels like these 4 moves are the main Garchomp, essential Garchomp set, and you're kind of seeing it here. Like, these are just the best moves. You want something for the mirror, you want to hit Charizard, and you want Earthquake.
Yeah, I feel like you don't really need Stomping a lot of the time, because you really, really want Rock Slide for Charizard, or even just those flinch chances, and then Dragon Claw because opposing Garchomp is so rampant, right? And without Grassy Terrain, you're pretty free to just click Earthquake, as long as you have enough partners that, can withstand it, or they have Protect.
And we see that Choice Scarf is the most used item, which is honestly surprising to me. I kind of felt like White Herb potentially would be, but Soft Sand is also quickly, like, very closely behind in 3rd.
Yeah, I think Garchomp items are something that there's a lot of flexibility. I feel like I've seen even Citrus and Hamonberry on some sets that we'll get into a little bit later. But I think this is a Pokemon where your item choice can be really impactful, but there's also just a lot of diversity in its options. Scarf is cool, but I'm liking some of these bulkier sets, or even just like being able to switch your moves, right? So White Herb or Soft Sand can give you that option to switch your moves while remaining kind of a more offensive set.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that the cool thing, too, is, like, items are so precious. They're such a limited resource when you're team building now, because you can't just say, all right, where's the Assault Vest going? Like, let's throw Citrus Berry, fuck it. No, you need to be very particular. And I feel like the thing about Garchomp, though, is he doesn't need to be. You can run White Herb, you can run Soft Sand, like, and you're not feeling too bad if you have to even fall down to here if, like, not that Soft Sand would be taken, but, like, if you want to run a more defensive one, those are great options as well. The one option that's not great, though, is Mega Garchomp. He is just not used. He is garbage.
I think we saw one person run it. I think Desu was running it, and he made a whole post about, like, this team is so sick. And then at the end of his thread, he said, if I could change anything, it would probably still be Mega Garchomp, though. I think he's not that good.
And I think you put him in, like, S tier, too, which is really funny. But yeah, Mega Garchomp, not great. You really can run anything else. And I think that's part of why he's so good, too. Is, like, he is just so good, can run any items. He also pairs, like, obviously these are just the 3 most common Pokemon turns out are on most teams.
Yeah, and I think this is starting to tell the story of the format right now. It
Hmm.
it is a little bit of a roulette of the top few Pokemon. It's like they all kill each other, right? And preserving your Garchomp for their Sneasler, so then your Kingambit can run free. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Garchomp is surprisingly bulky in this format too. There's just not a lot of ice coverage, so I think there's just a lot of flexibility in this guy.
And then you're seeing a lot of Jolly. I mean, it is really just. I mean, okay, the Brave is insane, by the way, but it is just Jolly or Adamant. Jolly at 54, but then Adamant close behind, which is kind of surprising to me. I thought Adamant was not. It was not going to be that popular. I thought Jolly would be because Garchomp mirrors are so prevalent, but turns out Adamant is starting to pick up, and I think that's something we're kind of seeing throughout the metagame is that bulky Adamant Garchomp is very, very good, especially with those Haban and Citrus Berry that we saw earlier.
Yeah, as formats go on longer, things start to bulk down a little bit. And remember, these usage stats are for everyone on the ladder, right? So this is low ladder and high ladder. Oh wow, that is so funny. It makes sense because that's the easiest spread to come up with, right? But
Yeah.
43% is nuts.
I feel like most of them are right there too, right? And if you look at it too, not only is it this one, but like this one's very close as well. And this like these are all just variations, right? Of just max speed, max attack.
I know,
Um,
but I didn't. I thought
yeah,
the percentages would be a little bit more split. Like I thought maybe 10% and 14% or something.
yeah.
But 43 and then straight to 5 is hilarious.
And then also not a lot of Sandvale. That's not nothing too crazy there. Rough Skin is very consistent, very good ability. The little chip can do wonders for games.
Yeah, Rough Skin's just a phenomenal ability. When the game first came out, I thought I'm gonna cheese some guys with Sandvale and Dark with Bright Powder in sand. The only time it ever procced was actually not even in sand. It was just a regular Bright Powder. I was so pissed. So guys, I'm telling you right now, it is not worth it.
But you know what is worth it? King Gambit. I would say he is. He surprised me. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he is. Like, I thought for sure King Gambit would be a strong Pokemon, but losing Terra sucks. Like, he's so vulnerable to fighting type moves. But it turns out that doesn't matter. He's still just so good because of his bulk, because of his stats, and of course, Sucker Punch.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so stupid. You don't have Taro, but now you have Choppleberry being viable in a format, which is something, we just didn't expect, because we didn't expect
Yeah.
all the items to get exited. But Choppleberry is really nice, but you can still run Black Glasses, which, if you can read on the screen, is the number one item still. I think Choppleberry is pretty popular in, like, the higher ranked teams, I feel. You can see a little bit of both, but really King Gambit is just so good into opposing Incineroar and Basculete Legion, which isn't in the top 5 usage here, but is an absolute demon. So having something like King Gambit to threaten that, and like such a strong priority move in Sucker Punch, makes it so annoying to deal with on pretty much every team. It feels like.
Yeah, he's always something that you have to respect. Move wise, King Gambit, like it looks like it's just hey, do you want you have these three moves, and then you say do you want Iron Head or do you want Low Kick, right? Obviously, there's probably some sets that also opt not to run Kowtow Cleave and opt to run the double coverage, but yeah, it is really just these three moves are just on every King Gambit.
Yeah, I feel like SD is just not that common in this format, at least not yet, and it's because
25.
yeah, the other two moves are so useful. Low Kick to hit opposing King Gambit or Incineroar, and then
Mm.
Iron Head. Just because Floette is so popular, I think Iron Head is really, really valuable. But other than that, like Sucker Punch is your best move. That's the main move that you're pressing 90% of the time, I feel.
Oh, 100%. I think you're right too. Is like it feels like right now at least like it's kind of not worth it to run Swords Dance. I would rather just have as much coverage as possible to try and do as much as I can with this guy. When it comes to partners, again, he is just popular with everybody. Charizard, Floette. He's an all-arounder. Nothing too crazy there. And then obviously when it comes to his nature, Adamant. And then we're seeing a lot of these max attack sets. But I do think the Chocoberry set doesn't it require a little bit of defense, like right here, to try
It
and limit
does
those
require a
combat.
little bit of
Yeah.
defense. Yeah, and I think some of these spreads are trying to greed more attack too, so you might
Mm.
see some real wonky ones just to get more attack points. But yeah, I think because Chopo is picking up in popularity, you're probably going to see a little bit less than max attack, unless you're Black Glasses, in which case maybe you'll throw someone off with those damage calcs. Regardless, you should be running Defiant. If you're running Pressure, I'm sorry, you made a mistake. Supreme Overlord, you probably knew. It's not that good. It seems it's uncool when you read the description. Not that good.
It does seem so cool, but it is really just for like 6v6 doubles, right? So King Gambit, obviously a stellar pick right now, the best steel type, and he actually is a very good steel type. Then we have Sinisha as number 5, which is no real surprise to me. Like when we were playing the pre-Champions ladder and we were just kind of playing with tools that we thought were going to be available to us, Sinisha was just one of the only redirectors and good grass types, and that didn't change when the game came out. So it's number 5. I think it's easily one of the best Pokemon. Adds so much utility to your team in a format that is lacking these common tools.
Yeah, I mean, you put it perfectly. It's the premier redirector. Its ability is just so sick.
Hmm.
Hospitality being basically having built-in healing in a format that doesn't have that much healing at all. There's no pollen puff from Amoonguss anymore. There's no grassy terrain, but you do have Sinistcha. And it also has access to moves like Trick Room or even more healing with Life Dew. It just makes it like a really nasty support Pokemon, and you can kind of change it to what your team needs. You can mold it into being the Pokemon you need it to be.
And I think that grass typing too is just really important, whether it's switching in on sleep powders or just having a grass offensive move on your team. There's a lot of bulky waters, you can hit ground types. Like it's just a really good like neutral type to hit things with, especially with Cine. The items are just really about keeping it as healthy as possible with some potential util there with like Sash or Bright Powder.
Yeah, I think citrus is ideally if you have it free, you want it. But I
Mm-hmm.
am very interested in some of these resist berries too, because being able to live just one extra hit, whether it's like a Kowtow for King Gambit, Last Respects from Basque Legion, the Akka for like Charizard, I think those could be really crucial depending on what your team needs. But like you said, you just want it to be alive for as long as possible. I do like Citrus Berry the best though, just because Sneasler is the number one Pokemon in the format, and when you train it a little defensively, Sinistcha is just able to eat up those hits. And with the Citrus Berry, you can take like 3 Dire Claws at least, right? So,
Oh
I
yeah.
I think that's probably ideally if you have it free is the best item. But he's just such a good support mon. It's also gonna stick around, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the best Pokemon in the format because it just enables so much. Like the Megas just want healing; they appreciate healing. So Cinny can just synergize with Blastoise, Floette, Charizard, um, literally any one of them you can make work.
Yeah, and we see it
Arcanine.
next to these like dark types a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like Kingambit and Tyranitar, just because it's a ghost type, so it can take away those fighting weaknesses. But really, healing anything is super useful. We see it next to Floette, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even get me
Yeah.
started on that. Yeah, dude, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Oh my god.
And then Bold and Calm make the most sense. You want it to be as defensive as possible. And then it's really just like you want to be the defensive one or the special defensive one. And that's really it for
Exactly.
how to train it. But yeah, these are the top 5 Pokemon. They are really just all 5 of them are really like Swiss Army knives. They can fit on any team, and you really can run a variety of items and sets on them. Now, we're not going to break down all of the Pokemon here today. We're not going to be hitting up Gorgeist or Samurott, unfortunately, or Simisage. But we are going to break down some really strong and potent cores that we're seeing rise up in the Champions metagame. Alright, so here we have a couple meta trends we're going to talk about and break down that we are seeing ourselves or we're seeing on social media or on streams, just kind of the way that the meta is progressing in Champions. So the first core we want to talk about is Frostlass, King Gambit, and Sneasler. Now obviously Frostlass has access to Aurora Veil and Blizzard, but the Aurora Veil is just so potent for the King Gambit and itself, and then Sneasler is just really solid at helping Frostlass set that up.
Yeah, Sneasler is just like such a nice partner because you can run that white herb, and if they lead Incineroar, obviously you get your Unburden, you pressure them with close combat, but they just cover each other so well. Like Frostlass, I'm a ghost type, I'm a little afraid of King Gambit. Not to worry, I'm Sneasler and I'm here to protect you, right? Plus, you got the fake out Aurora Veil, it's free. Excuse me. But Frostlass doesn't have to run Veil either. I've been seeing some nasty plot sets. I've been seeing Substitute. So I think there's a little bit of creative freedom there with Frostlass. But these three together, they just cover each other's weaknesses so well. Because let's talk about King Gambit too, right? Like, not only does it have Defiant to help against, again, opposing Incineroar, but you can also run Low Kick, and you have Sucker Punch to threaten other ghost types, right?
Mm-hmm.
Frostlass, a little bit slower than Mega Gengar. It's a little bit slower than Mega Delphox, right? King Gambit's there to click Sucker Punch and scare them away.
Yeah, I think the core itself is really, really good, and I think Frostless is a Pokemon that is like, it's getting used and it's doing well, but I think it still has a little bit more to grow and to figure out, right? I wouldn't be surprised if this weekend we do have a Victory Road, huge Champions Tour, and then the weekend after that is the 10,000 person Scraw tournament, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Frostless is able to pop off a really crazy style in these next two tournaments.
Yeah, something I'm really loving about Champions so far is that people are like sharing what they're using. We don't have official tournaments, so they're just sharing to progress the game forward, right? I think it's really awesome, and I think there's no point in hiding stuff right now. Like, I get it, but I feel like the game is just developing so much faster, right? And one thing we didn't point out either is Sneasler, Kingambit, two top 5 Pokemon, right? What are they both weak to? Garchomp. And Frostlass absolutely booty smacks Chomp. It protects them so well. Just being able to spam Blizzard is really, really nice in this format.
Yeah, I think it's a great core. You can round it out with a variety of different Pokemon, but if you're looking to build something, this could be the one. Now, the next core we have for you is one that is absolutely just destroying the game right now. I think this is probably the strongest combo of 3 Pokemon in the game. I think Aerodactyl plus Floette is clearly so potent, right? The only Pokemon that Floette really struggles against are both and Charizard and Sneasler, but Aerodactyl is just perfectly designed to destroy them with Rock Slide and Dual Wing Beat. So you also get a Tailwind mode. So these two are just incredible. And then, if you're worried about Mega Gengar or something faster, you have a double Mega team of Floette plus Delphox, who is able to outspeed and KO said Gengar and the other threats to Floette.
Yeah, I think people realizing Aerodactyl's actually good has been one of the most devastating realizations in the game, because now it's so fucking annoying to deal with. If you thought Floette was already annoying, now you have to deal with Rock Slide, but also, some of these guys aren't even running Calm Mind on Floette, they're just clicking Tailwind and just hitting you with damage immediately. And sometimes it's not that Moonblast, sometimes it's the fabled Light of Ruin, right, which you're not always calced for that.
Yeah, Light of Ruin is insane.
Yeah, but Aerodactyl is just actually such a cool Pokemon in the format. Dual Wing Beat, being able to hit like Sneasler even through Sash, is really, really good for Floette.
Yeah, and like you said, the Tailwind enabling it. And then there's a whole nother dimension of calling which Mega they are going to bring. Because I think approaching Floette is very different than approaching Delphox. So I think Delphox is seeing a lot of usage as well. I think it is a pretty top tier Mega, like Solo and Duo. I think Duo is really good though, specifically with Floette here. And the other thing about Delphox is that its third move is very, very interesting. We have Encore and Substitute. Now obviously they're not going to actually run that. You normally are going to put Protect there, but Encore or Substitute is usually what you're choosing between. Substitute is very, very good on Delphox. Then Encore is something that you mentioned that was pretty spicy and messing some people up.
Yeah, it also gets Nasty Plot, which if you have maybe like a Mousehold or a Sinistcha on this type of team, you can abuse a more setup-oriented version. But the other part about this theme too is that like it really sets up for like having strong partners. Like Garchomp is such a free next add-on here, right?
Yeah.
You got Levitate and Delphox, you got EQ partner and Aerodactyl, and Garchomp is Floette's best friend because it kills Sneasler. So I feel like these 4, or even just these 3, give you such a good starting point to kind of round out. And it's damage in your face, but it's just so like synergistic.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge potent meta threat that I think we're going to see for the entirety of this regulation.
Unfortunately.
Next up here, we got a little bit of a spicy duo that is currently doing pretty well. I think Mousehold Floette is something, I'm not going to say is slept on, but it's something that isn't being used probably as much as it should be. I think Mousehold is just criminally underused. This Pokemon is so strong in this format.
Yeah, I mean, just look at its toolkit, right? It has Friend Guard, it has Follow Me, but it also has moves like Super Fang, Taunt, and Feint. I feel like all of those moves are just so useful in enabling your partner Pokemon, especially Friend Guard, when it's something like Floette, right? I feel like with this, you can go a slow approach, one that's kind of like a defensive calm mind setup, but it also just as easily fits on the Aerodactyl core we just talked about. I just feel like this is something you have to be aware of, and it's something that I've seen pick up a little, something that's dominated the in-game ladder too, so beware of Mousehold next to Mecha Floette.
And the final core we have for you today is none other than Talonflame, Blastoise, Sinistcha. This is a core, like, surprisingly, Blastoise is being used way more than you'd expect. Like, if you told me before Champions came out that he would be even used once, I would have just laughed at you, dude. This guy has never been that great. The last time we saw him was probably in 2014, 12 years ago.
Oh my god, that was 12 years ago. And that's probably the last time we'd see some dumbass shit like this from Talonflame, too. I mean, that's not true. We saw an Acrobatics Talonflame. I think it won Japan Nationals.
It did.
But it's weird. It can actually exist. There's not enough good items to where, like, Acrobatics is kind of valid. However, you obviously have the dual wing beat option. You can run something like Sharp Beak on Talonflame, boost that damage up a little bit. But mostly, Talonflame's job is to set up Tailwind for our buddy Blastoise. Because Blastoise, he wants to do but one thing, and it's to click Water Spout.
That's seriously all he wants to do. What I think is kind of neat, though, about Blastoise, too, is normally his ability, which is Mega Launcher, isn't very good. It actually doesn't help Water Spout whatsoever. But I think the coverage he has is what's kind of pushing him more and more towards the meta, and why he's probably one of the big winners of Pokemon Champions. Aura Sphere and Dark Pulse is like the standard set nowadays. We're not seeing as much Ice Beam. Aura Sphere is awesome because fighting coverage is just very lacking, like we mentioned earlier. So having that to be able to pressure one-shots into King Gambit, do big damage to Incin after they damage you and your one-shots worthless. Tyranitar. And then Dark Pulse is really, really cool into stuff like Sinistcha. So I think that the set is kind of neat, and also, like, Talonflame can totally be an Aerodactyl. I do think you want Cinny 9 times out of 10 on this type of team, just because enabling more Water Spouts is super worth it.
Yeah, honestly, I've been so impressed with Dark Pulse from Blastoise, because that shit does so much damage to things like, you know, I've been trying Mega Gengar, it just does too much. It does so much into Basculegion. And you mentioned Sinistcha. Even like Mega Delphox, if you're already, you know, taking too much damage to press Water Spout. Dark Pulse has just been so impressive in this format. But then, yeah, like you said, Sinistcha's just the perfect partner to round this out. Even Rage Powder is really nice. You don't want Blastoise to take a hit. You want to be pressing Water Spout. Obviously, you have a secondary speed control mode too with Trick Room, so you can threaten Tailwind, but then you can set up Trick Room on that last turn. Start going ham with those life dews. I just feel like this unexpectedly became such a nice and solid core. Like, we have a previous world champion, Zine, saying, like, I was getting smacked by Blastoise all day. I'm actually just going to spend a day trying it because it surprised me so much. So definitely give it a shot. If you want to run a different set, I think Fake Out is also pretty viable.
Oh yeah, I think there's actually some surprising depth with Blastoise, like pairing it with Rain. I think Fake Out is something that you're not necessarily expecting that can be really, really good util. So I think he does have more depth than we're giving him credit for with just the Tailwind team, but he is definitely a threat in Pokemon Champions. So recently, there's been sort of a race to the top of the ladder to try and be number one, and Eric Rios was able to get first on ladder, but then was dethroned by our current world champion, Polar Bear, Geo. And this was the team that he ended up using to get second now on ladder, which I think is a cool team. We don't have too much information. You can go check out his streams if you really want to find out all the moves and stuff. But I think, like, overall, just breaking down this type of team, I think really shows a lot about where the current meta is at.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because I'm not sure if the Floette is Calm Mind, but we have potentially 2 setup Pokemon here in Floette and Como, and they're supported by Aegislash and Sneasler, right? Because the rest of the team, especially Como, whenever you have a Como team, I'm afraid of fairy types, right? Yeah. So I think his choices here are very, very interesting. Obviously, Sneasler on every team, you have Direct Claw, but then having Aegislash as a secondary like option into Floette, very, very cool right now. Also so strong into opposing Sneaslers. It cannot be touched by them, and if you don't, use their herb, Poltergeist should just one-shot it.
That is very true. And then also, I think another really cool pick that we're going to get into a little bit later is this Choice Scarf Rotom. I think it's a fantastic set currently. We'll break it down a little bit later, but I think this is just a really solid, good setup team with just some of the best Pokemon in the game, really. With some unique picks as well, like Aegislash and Como.
And it's got a lot of potent offensive power, but it has really good defensive synergy. Having even just a ground resist in Rotom Wash is so valuable but just everything covers each other so well. So definitely check out his streams if you want to see him using it in action, taking it to the pinnacle of the game right now, but also just learning. I feel like you can learn so much with the sets and how he uses the team.
All right, next up, we have some spicy picks in the current Pokemon Champions metagame. So first things first is Sash Basculegion. This Pokemon really can do it all. We've seen Citrus Berry, we've seen Scarf, we've seen Mystic Water, and now we're seeing Sash as well. Probably with that ability.
Not Swift Swim, that.
But this set is just so potent. We saw it in Regulation H near the beginning of the second time around, and it was really good back then, and now it is really good again.
Yeah, I think early format, everyone was just spamming Choice Scarf, like even on Rain, because without Choice Spam, the Swift Swim option is just not as strong. And Basculegion's honestly being run on a lot of not-in-Rain teams, right? So Sash has been the latest development because you want to switch your moves, but also there's just a lot of threats, you know? Whether it's opposing Basculegion with Last Respects, or King Gambit Sucker Punch, which the Scarf set is so susceptible to. People have switched to Focus Sash now, and now you can Last Respect something. If it barely lives, clean it up with that Aqua Jet.
Yeah, or, vice versa. You can just pull off a Liquidation and then change to Last Respects next turn when your partner faints. I think it's a really cool set. Another set we're seeing a lot of is Citrus Berry Garchomp. I would also say like Haban to a degree, but Citrus Berry specifically is kind of cool on Garchomp. It's not something you would fully expect.
Yeah, we're seeing Citrus, we're seeing Haban, we're seeing Roselli Berry, we're just seeing Garchomp bulk down. And I think all of these have slightly different uses. With Citrus Berry, you just want the general bulk, but I think especially into Sneasler, like, you could probably eat 2 close combats with the right EV spread easily, right?
Oh, 100%.
And so this just makes Garchomp an even bigger threat, and with Sneasler everywhere, you want it to stick around as long as possible. Maybe even, like, you eat 2 Dragon Claws from opposing Garchomp if you intimidate them. So I really love the creativity we're seeing with these Garchomp sets. Just real quick, like talking about Haban Berry, that is also for opposing Garchomp, but I think it's also really nice into Como, which generally has been picking up in usage and is a nice counter to what we were seeing a lot early in the metagame, which was Charizard Garchomp. And then lastly, Roselli Berry, it's for Floette.
And then speaking of Floette, we have Aegislash. Now this is a Pokemon that I was excited to use in this new game because I was like, oh dude, Aegislash is back. It's time to run Shadow Ball, Flash Cannon, Substitute, King Shield. But that set is actually not very good. It's not being used whatsoever, but this physical set is really good. And we've never really used physical Aegislash. Like, he was used probably for the first, I played in 2014, I'm a little old. He was used for like, I would say maybe a week when the game first came out, and everyone's like, he is so cool. He's a sword and a shield. He's so cool, dude. Little did they know they're going to make a whole game built around sword and shields. But this guy was pretty sick at the time, but they just really couldn't get the physical set to work. And then a player by the name of the Battle Room actually used Aegislash Special at one of the first regionals of the format, and from then on, dude, it was everywhere. This set was absolutely disgusting. But now
You're taking credit. You're taking credit for the special wave, huh?
I wouldn't say that I invented it. I think people came. There was actually another player who used it at the tournament, like, and we didn't work together at all, and it was developed separately. I think it was coming, dude. It was like a wave that couldn't be stopped. Because sometimes I think in Pokemon there are people who invent stuff, but I think sometimes everyone's working on something and they figure it out, right? And it's just like, hey, this is broken. And I think Aegislash Special Aegislash was very broken until now.
It's such a cool game, dude. It's such a cool game because that shit happens all the time where people are just, they're working, and then they come to the same conclusion because the game just needs to be pushed forward. And this is what's happening with this Aegislash set.
Yeah, and I think the set is really good. Like, when I saw it, I was like, dude, I can't wait to play with this guy again. That's sick. And I think the big change is Poltergeist, right? Like, this move pushes Aegislash, physical Aegislash specifically, much further, right? It's 110, 90 accuracy ghost physical move. And that's what he was missing, right? Like, Shadow Claw, that move sucks ass, dude. But Poltergeist, oh my god, we're hitting, dude. We're hitting hard. And then obviously Iron Head as well for Floette is so big in specifically this format.
Yeah, and Shadow Sneak's so nice. Priority is just, you want it wherever you can. There's no Psychic Train in this format, and Fergraph is just seeming like it's just okay right now. So Shadow Sneak, very valuable move. I'm curious to see if Sacred Sword ever picks up just because of King Gambit and Incineroar, but right now it seems like people would rather just play around it and keep Aegislash safe in other ways.
Exactly. I think you totally could, and we will have to see. But yeah, Aegislash, he is looking so good right now. And also, so is Como. This Pokemon, you would think, would be kind of bad, right? We have Floette, right? Like
Yeah, we have
being
Flood, dude. We have Delphox.
yeah.
I mean, there's other fairy types technically in the game, but it's mostly Floette. And we have Mega Gardevoir too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
but Como's found a way. It's found its own niche, and it's cool that it's the Clang Soul set, not something cringe like Iron Defense.
yeah, Clang Soul is really cool. Um, it's just an Omni boost, right? For not too much of a payment, right? Like 33% of your max HP is a lot, but at the same time, you're instantly getting a little bit back, 1/16 of it back right away with leftovers. So it just doesn't feel bad. And again, there aren't a lot of items, so leftovers fits perfectly here. He also gets a lot of cool abilities. Overcoat to ignore Sinestros Rage Powder, Soundproof to potentially stop Hyper Voices from Gardevoir or Sylveon. He has options, and he is just in a
Soundproof?
really cool spot.
Okay, so Soundproof is cool for a couple of reasons. Because not only does it ignore Hyper Voice, it ignores opposing clanging scales. It also ignores Parting Shot.
Oh wow, that's actually so sick. I didn't even realize that. Okay,
Yeah.
and Paris Song too. We've seen Paris Song be used with Como as well. He can just ignore the song and just keep going, keep belting out damage.
Yeah, he's good as a partner for that reason too. But then don't even discount Bulletproof because that just makes you immune to Gengar entirely, right? Other than
Yeah.
Parasong. Get hit by Sludge Bomb or Shadow Ball. So Como, there's a lot of good options. I think Overcoat is the most popular, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think people are really afraid of Sleep Powder. But I haven't used this Pokemon enough. I think there's a lot of depth to this guy. Initially, I was pairing it with Sinestro to just get that, that HP right back. But we just, we're seeing Eric Rios dominate without the Sinestro. I feel like just leftovers might be enough to get that Omni boost and start doing crazy amounts of damage.
Yeah, and then next up is Rotom Wash, specifically with Scarf Rotom Wash. Now, Rotom Wash has always been, he used to be the GOAT. For a long time, the game was good when Rotom Wash was good, but he really didn't see much play for about 11 years. Like 2015 was the last time he was on top. And so it's been a while since the GOAT's been
Yeah,
good.
it's been long since you had your first kid.
Of course, of course. I mean, I went through almost 2 divorces during that time as well. But Rotom Wash is back, dude, and he's ready to go with Electroweb, Hydro Pump, T-Bolt. I think Webs is what's putting this Scarf set over the top, right? Like, and Volt Switch. You're able to be really annoying, really slippery, and then you're able to just start slowing him down with Electroweb.
It's so funny because it feels like he's picking up from where he left off at 2015 Worlds, right? Like,
Yeah.
I remember the Americans were going hard with that Scarf Rotom Wash and the offensive Cresselia, but Rotom's back now. I think its best move in this format is Electroweb, right?
Yeah.
Being speed control faster than, let's say, Aerodactyl, Gengar, all these Pokemon that you just get to click Electroweb and then your partner gets to nuke them. So I think its defensive typing is also just a huge sell for it. Much better than its buddies, let's say Rotom Frost or Rotom Fan, even Rotom Heat. So I'm really liking this Pokemon. I think you can run a bulky set, but right now Scarf, that's the spicy pick.
And then finally, we have Scizor. Now, Scizor is kind of a weird one. Obviously, you think of Scizor and you're like, oh, dude, isn't he weak to, like, Incineroar? Incineroar literally, like, hunts him down and slaughters him with his Flare Blitz and the Intimidate. But Scizor is good into Floette. And also, like, you can play around Incineroar, right? Like, Scizor Rain seems to be a very, very strong strategy moving forward. We've seen a couple pop off, some famous Japanese builders test them out. So I think Scizor's got some insane potential.
Yeah, Scizor is just so good because of Mega Floette's dominance. Another thing that's cool about it is it's not just limited to rain teams. I'm seeing it a lot with sand, right? Because Mega Charizard is such a threat. Mega T-Tar makes it the perfect combo. You don't have to run Mega on Scizor, honestly. I feel like you can run a different item. It also has options like Close Combat, I believe. Or is it just Superpower that it gets?
It gets Close Combat now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's Close Combat. So I think Scizor is really, really cool just to have another Floette answer on your team. But obviously, you got to be scared of that Incineroar. Have enough checks for it. But I think it's really doable in this format, man.
I definitely agree. I think also, like you mentioned, like, not having to run the Megastone, but at the same time, the Megastone doesn't feel like you really can bring him, and he just doesn't have an item, but he is still useful, right? Like, the priority Bullet Punch, even the CC coverage, like, he totally can function as a dual Mega, whereas, like, something like Floette and Delphox, you are not allowed to bring both of them at the same
But
time,
without
really.
Mega, yeah.
Yeah, but Scizor, he totally can. I think that's what makes him really cool, especially in this format.
100%. And you get a boost up, and it's like one-shotting Sneasler and stuff. So
Hmm.
don't count him out. Bug Bite's super cool in this format too. There's so many berries for Scizor to eat up. Yum yum yum. I would definitely give it a try. Just beware of the fires.
So here we have some unfortunate losers of Pokemon Champions. First things first is Mega Gengar. Like, he just feels like he isn't performing, or I'm just not seeing teams of him. I'm not seeing him enough at the high ladder that he's not winning. He's not succeeding right now. I think he is really, really good. We're seeing him dominate open team sheet tours, but I don't know. He seems like he's in a weird spot.
Yeah, I think with Mega Gengar, there's two things going on, right? One of them is we have some new tools that are really strong into it. We have Delphox that absolutely destroys it, and then a lot of the meta is just so hostile towards it. We have Scarf Basculegion, we have King Gambit, we have Tyranitar everywhere, Incineroar, of course. So I feel like part of Gengar's issue is all these tools being so prevalent. The other is that Gengar's never been easy to use, actually. It's so broken, but it's so complex, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you need to find the right partners for it. We need to find the right core. Because right now, like a poorly constructed Gengar team is just going to get nuked by King Gambit. You're going to get Garchomped on, right? So
Yeah.
we need to find just the most annoying strategy possible that covers for Gengar's weaknesses. Like, look at that HP stat, dude.
60. Yeah, it's just he's so frail. And I agree with you. I do think that he will come through. Like, I don't doubt him, but I think right now there is no OP insane Gengar team that we're seeing. I think he is good, and I think Perish Song is the best it's ever been, but I think he needs some work before he's winning at the top tables. And another loser, unfortunately, is Charizard. I feel like he's just been getting worse and worse. Like, he's still good, but sometimes I'll just play in a night and I just won't see him anymore. When I was seeing him day one every single battle.
Yeah, and again, it's a similar case to Gengar. I think he's going to pull through, but these are the trends that we're noticing, right? I had the same experience where I'm playing for like a good couple hours, and I've played 0 Charizard, maybe 1. And I think it's because it was dominating so early. Like, we saw Suiko win that huge tournament, get number 1 on ladder with his Charizard team. Now everyone's running Aerodactyl. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's that push and pull, right? Charizard dominates, everyone counters. You gotta innovate. It's what we did in 2019 with Ray Ogre. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Exactly. And I think Charizard too, a lot of the meta trends are bad for him, right? Incineroar, Garchomp being as good as he is can get very annoying for Zard, and I just don't think he hits as hard as he needs to sometimes. And then another one is Dragonite. Mega Dragonite just completely disappeared off the face of the earth. I think he still has potential, but I'm just not sure where.
Yeah, if Gengar and Charizard are kind of the bad news, Dragonite and our next one, Arch, are the ugly here. Mega Dragonite, just very, very underwhelming. Even regular Dragonite, a little bit underwhelming because it did lose loaded dice. I think there's still potential for both these guys because they get access to Tailwind. But right now, its move pool is actually kind of limited. Like, Hurricane is so reliant on Rain, and most of the time you just want to be having another Mega Pokemon. It feels like you're wasting a slot.
Yeah, and the same thing with Arch. I feel like losing Assault Vest, losing Body Press, he's just been worthless. He's just not it anymore. But I do think there is some potential with Archaludon, and I think it's up to us, as in the players, to figure out how to bring him back to his former glory. Because there's no way this dude can be bad. Look at those stats.
No, and he has great coverage, and I think really the biggest loser is the stamina set, the bulky Arch. Like, we were testing leftovers at the beginning, but really I think with Sturdy, it becomes a different Pokemon, and I think it's viable again. And we're going to show you a team with this Archaludon too, that maybe there is a way to salvage these bad Pokemon.
And now we're just going to break down 3 really top tier teams that are doing really, really well on ladder that kind of show off some of the meta trends that we're currently seeing. Alright, so the first team we have for you today is going to be Archaludon Aerodactyl, which is kind of a crazy one. This
this team's gnarly, dude.
It's gnarly. It's made by Rinya, who is the creator of Rinya's Sun, a really, really popular team back in Sword and Shield. Also, Rinya did make some other banger teams as well. Just a really, really talented Japanese team builder. And this is a solo Aerodactyl team, kind of showing off what we were talking about. We got Citrus Berry, Garchomp, Aerodactyl with the Aerodactylite, and then Sturdy Urkaluna.
Well done. Yeah, no, there's some really cool choices here. I think the Citrus Berry Garchomp's obviously the one that's popping off the screen here, one we mentioned earlier. But I think Aerodactyl is really cool too because it's the fastest Mega, I think, right? It can outspeed these annoying ass Delphoxes and just click Rock Slide. Its coverage is just so good in the format, and pairing it with Garchomp, Sneasler, and your own low kick King Gambit give you just so much offense into the most popular Pokemon in the format.
I think it's also just incredible. Like, you're never gonna see the Scarf Arcaludon coming, dude. That is just gonna smack you around.
A Scarf Pokemon with 30 is so sick too.
Also, this Aerodactyl is very fast, but it also has a decent amount of bulk, low-key. And then it's a very bulky Garchomp, as we expect. This team just has a lot of surprising bulk outside of the Sneasler and Arcaludon.
And I think that's the trick with these kinds of format, and we just see that as it goes on, is figuring out where you can steal some bulk onto your Pokemon, live hits that your opponent is not expecting you to. But even in the final two kind of more niche picks, this Lefties, was it Lefties Rotom? Lefties Rotom with the Will-O-Wisp to make everything a little bit bulkier, spread that burn around if you can actually hit. This team's just super, super cool. I like that you have Mons to abuse Tailwind too, but you have some semblance of a defensive backbone.
So the next team I have for you is none other than the 2024 Japanese national champion, Spy on Anya, yeah. So their team is really, really cool. It's a kind of a different take on the Floette stuff, and we also have a Citrus Berry bulky Basculegion here.
Again, more of the meta trends that we're talking about, everything bulking down a little bit, and that core of Frostlass, Sneasler, and King Gambit that just seems so stupid strong. It feels really hard to actually come up with something that can cover those three. But he's rounded it out with a Citrus Berry Basculegion, another, bulky mon we talked about, and a Habanberry Garchomp. Everything really, really fat, but also really, really strong.
And we also have Substitute Frostlass, which again, not opting to run the Aurora Veil, but instead trying to get a little bit more utility for this Frostlass. And then there is also a pretty crazy Floette, which is just offensive Floette. There's no setup here. It's just trying to deal as much damage as fast as possible.
Yeah, I think some of these teams, they have Calm Mind Floette when they really shouldn't. You don't have the facilities for that. You don't have redirection. You don't have healing. I think Floette, you could just do the damage. With Fairy Orb, you already basically have a Life Orb, right? So yeah. Just do the Fairy damage you need to because there really aren't that many Fairy resists. The premier enemies of Floette, which is Sneasler with Poison type Dark Claw, and King Gambit being the best Steel type, neither of them resist Fairy. I feel like you can just shit out the damage. But this is a really sick team. I personally want to give it a try once I get a Floette in game. But overall, just really, really cool sets, bulking down the format, catching your opponent off guard. If I lost to Citrus Basque, I would actually cry.
And like you said, it's just all bulk. All of these Pokemon are really bulky outside of Sneasler. I mean, the Floette is actually quite speedy, which is kind of surprising. But look at that Garchomp, dude. Max HP. What an insane world we live in right now.
I respect it. I respect it so much. And I also want to point out that sub on Frostlass. It's to take advantage of the free fake out turn, but I think Aurora Veil, it still leaves you susceptible to taking a hit, right? You don't want to eat the kowtow. Whereas sub gives you so much more room to reposition or just stall another turn.
Yeah, and I think it's a great choice, and I think this, dude, I'm going to play with this team literally right after this video.
And lastly, we have a banger of a team from none other than Ko Tsukide, also known as Huibare Poke. One of the best players in Japan, just consistently, even when he was in seniors, after he's aged up, just kept that momentum going. And this team, it represents who he is. This is an unstoppable team. He's gone really, really high on ladder with this, I think. But it just has a lot of the concept we were talking about in the meta trends. And Mousehold Floette Aerodactyl, man. How do you stop that?
You really don't. And then there's that double mega with Delphox, which we talked about earlier, which I think is just such a good combo. Like, I think double mega is surprisingly pretty good in this format. And I think it's just like finding two that cover each other really well. And surprisingly, these two cover each other really well. Also, that mouse hold that you mentioned is really sick on this team, helping enable Floette. But then at the same time, he also has the Aerodactyl Garchomp, like super fast, aggressive mode that he's able to switch to on a whim.
It also pairs super well, of course, with Levitate Delphox. And Mousehold Incin, probably the best supports you can ask for on a team like this. I feel like you're pretty often just setting up Tailwind and trying to win damage trades with your Floette or Delphox. So if you're looking for a team to try and you're not sure what to use, this is probably one of the most simple teams to try, but also one of the most powerful teams.
Yeah, this team is just perfect. And I hope you guys enjoyed our meta breakdown. We'll probably do more of these in the future. Let us know if you liked it. Let us know if you learned something today about the Pokemon Champions metagame. We covered a lot, and there's a lot of information to take in, so we hope you enjoyed it.
And we will see you next time. Peace.